Okay, guys, so we've got, again, two options for how you can do the next stage of your speech. Now, your measure of success will be, at this stage, have I written a paragraph that demonstrates the falling action of my speech? In other words, a shift in the tone to positive and helpful, in which I've explained what can be achieved if we make particular changes. So how I'm persuading my audience to change. Now, whether you follow that format, whether you follow this format, whether you combine both, that's where you exercise choice. That's where hopefully we're going to get speeches that are different. Yes, your topics are different, but actually this is where we're also going to get different approaches in our speeches. But both options should support you in being successful, okay? Because as I said, we're going to end up with a speech that covers all of these key structural areas, but also enables you to demonstrate some of the rhetorical features that we're looking for. And actually, some of you are already writing some really compelling, powerful speeches. So this is brilliant. Okay, so in this paragraph for the falling action, it is bigger than the climax stage and it is bigger than the end. So this is the bit today that you might end up spending your most amount of time on. So if you're still writing or feeling that you want to work on this section, just trust me, we're going to look at how you end your speech, and then the rest of today's lesson and tomorrow's really is going to be about writing and rewriting your speeches. Okay, my lovelies? So what comes next? Okay, I've missed, sorry. So if we look back here, we're now going to do the ending. What final thing do you want your audience to do? So what's the final thing you want your audience to do? Then my climax section, brilliant, falling action. So what's the final thing you want your audience to do? Now, again, Ronseal does exactly what it says on the tin, if any of you have ever watched those adverts. So you could begin here with the topic sentence. The final thing I want you to do is. So you can be really straightforward. It's not, we'll see the creative way in a minute, but it's getting the job done. So we could say the final thing I want you to do is open your eyes and realize that you are responsible for those 1.68 million children that need your help. Yeah. And then you take that topic sentence and you could do an amplification or a this means. This means that your responsibility is to take a stand, to educate yourselves, to think about these children, not just for 5 minutes after this speech, not just in a week's time when you might see an advert and it pricks your conscience, but between now until you've done something practical to help them. I want you to keep them in mind. So you could use a this means phrase. You could say, the final thing I want you to do to end plastic pollution is to commit to making 3 changes to your everyday life. That might mean, so can you see for amplification, I'm using a that might mean changing how you shop, educating yourself as to the best ways to dispose of plastic, encouraging other members of your household to get involved. So those are the 3 things I want to end you with, the final things I want you to do. Now, here you go. You could go for the explanation bit. Because the problem sometimes seems so big, we have to start small. So I've actually ended up using a little bit of antithesis there, yeah? Because the problem seems so big, we have to start small. And small steps are exactly what we can take. And in taking small steps, how we take ownership. So although I'm starting to play with words and I'm developing it, I've got my because bit in. Now I could go for an if and a then moment. If you commit to making 3 changes to your life, then that will create a ripple effect that you can be responsible for inspiring others to follow your example. So we've done an if and then. Now, this is where it is different. So this is why I've highlighted this bit in yellow. Now, when we've looked at this paragraph structure before, the closing sentence, we say the cyclical closing sentence links to the topic sentence. But now I want you to go right back to the opening of your speech, and I want you to end with a sentence. So, a final kind of rallying cry. So, it is time to work with me to end plastic pollution. So, it is time to, could be even better, even stronger. So, it's time to take a stand against the swelling tide of plastic pollution. We can stop it. Okay, now you can end with a question. Now, really, this is a rhetorical question, not a hyperborea. We're not going to answer this question. We might want to leave our audience with a question that's going to be answered as they take action after this speech. So what will you do today? So you could end with a question. So you're going to do your ending paragraph. Could be in that order, or you can use the example from yesterday. Okay, we all have a moral duty to educate ourselves about the horrors faced by some of the poorest and most vulnerable children across the world. We all have a moral duty to reject, ... We all have a moral duty to stand. So you could just do it this way. You could offer clear final things you want the audience to do. So we did talk, yes, about these verb choices. Educate, reject, stand. Now, you could use those on any of the topics we've really covered. We all have a moral duty to educate ourselves about the reality of plastic pollution. We all have a moral duty to reject any standard of plastic production that does not lead to sustainable, renewable resources being made. We all have a moral duty to stand against plastic pollution so that all our oceans can be breathed back to life. So you can, if you prefer, a bit more freedom here, or you could go down this one. So it is a challenge in this one to link the last sentence of your speech to the first sentence. So I've done lucky ones, linking me back to the beginning. You can use the repetition of an opening phrase, so the anaphoria. We all have. And it says here, is there anything you would like to edit, change, or approve as you're doing this process for your own speech? So, guys, you are now going to pause and use the rest of today's lesson to look back through. You can see I'm just moving back to show you. You can pause, you can rewind, but really by the end of today and tomorrow, you are going to have this speech done. You're going to have done an awesome job. Part of tomorrow's hour is going to be more explicit editing and refining processes. I'm going to work with you tomorrow. One of my lovely Year 9 students, not my daughter this time, has said that they're happy for me to use a paragraph of theirs, a wonderful paragraph, just to illustrate this process. So I'm looking forward to sharing their work with you tomorrow. But what we need tomorrow is some speech that we can do the editing and refining process on. So guys, spend the rest of your session today writing the speech, but bearing in mind that we are going to be thinking not about what's wrong with our speeches tomorrow, but what's missing. How can we upgrade the work that we've done today and in previous lessons to get a speech that is successful, a speech that best represents who you are, how you've written, what you want us to understand about this topic that you're passionate about. So enjoy the learning, enjoy the writing. I'm really looking forward to seeing the speeches, and I really appreciate how hard you're working. Take care of them, guys, and see you tomorrow.